Hey, Soraya.
Hey, Jeff.
Episode 114. What do you think about that?
115.
Is it 115 now?
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh, I'm losing track. See,
You
I
need
was
help?
I was such a young guy when we first started this. Now I'm so old.
Back in the day, I'm not a kid. I'm not young anymore.
Exactly. I wanted to tell you, I've been sharing this with you, but I've been watching a podcast, kind of cheating on you by watching something other than us. But
It's okay. And you know what? You're right. 114.
is it 114? Okay, who's the old one?
Me! I'm way older.
All right. So yeah, I've been watching this podcast called the Metal Priestesses Podcast. And one of the hosts on there is our guest today, and it's Genny Schorr. And
Mhm.
she's been she has a lot of projects. So I wanted to see if we can get her on the other side of the microphone answering questions rather than asking questions, and um have her tell us some stories about some things that we'll be interested in, but let's hold off on that until we have her on.
I think that's great. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, agruviar.
Let's get groovy. All right, Soraya. Time to let Genny in.
Hello there.
Hey, how are you, Genny?
Can't see me yet. Hang on. Hang on.
There you are.
Yeah. Oh, I got the Metal Priestesses. Let me take that off.
No, leave that.
Leave it.
Yes.
Are you kidding? This is pure promo. Leave it. Fabulous.
Okay.
All right. How you doing, Genny?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super excited to have you on because I was telling Soraya that I'm used to seeing you ask the question, so this is going to be exciting to see you answer the question
I know,
on the other side of the microphone.
It's so much more relaxing too.
Even better.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of things that I've learned a little bit about you by watching your podcast, the Metal Priestesses Podcast. But we wanted to do a little bit more digging and find out a little bit more. And today we wanted to talk to you so our listeners can know a little bit about your store, STRAIT JACKET, that you had in the 70s, your band, BACKSTAGE PASS. We definitely wanted to talk about the Metal Priestesses Podcast. Great. And you have an offspring that's a musician. So we definitely want to address that a little bit.
Okay.
But the thing that we felt that was the most pertinent to our podcast, and we mostly focus on the Paisley Underground Band, so the 3 o'clock, Rain Parade, Dream Syndicate, and the Bangles. And one thing that I've learned about you is I knew that you were a fashion stylist, but I didn't know up until recently that you worked with the Bangles quite extensively and developed their look. And we wanted to start off learning a little bit about that.
Okay. So I did the Bangles in a lot of different ways, but I've known them since the Bangs. And so we made clothes for them. Susanna, we made her a really interesting dress, which was like a cutout sort of Rudy Gernreich style dress in the early days. And then also, I think on the first EP, the person I had the store with, who was married to Jake Riviera at the time, Tony Riviera, she did, is it called Getting Out of Hand?
Yes.
Okay. She did the graphics for that. And then I believe Debbie is wearing a straight jacket dress, which was just a vintage dress. I think it's all kind of different kinds of stripes and 60s kind of dress. So she bought that at Straight Jacket. And then we did custom clothes for them. Uh, One thing I think Susanna really loved was this copper flirt skirt. I guess you couldn't just buy these flirt skirt just anywhere, right? And she paired that a lot with like a white bustier, and wore that a lot during I think it was Manic Monday and Walk Like an Egyptian. Some of those televised things. And then when they started kind of making a bit of money, they took me on tour.
Ooh.
And I went on tour with them in 1987. We went to Europe, and that was really fun. We were in England for when they won what's that British award that's kind of like a Grammy?
The
Uh,
oh shoot, I'm
the
thinking
BMI
Oh,
award.
okay.
Yeah. And I remember Ray Davies was there, and he was like, I really like your band. And I was like, I was kind of like the fifth Bangle. I think he thought I was Debbie or something like that. Yeah. And so we were in England. It was basically a television tour for if she knew what
What she wants.
she wants.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so we went to, I think, Switzerland. I remember going with the Bangles to see Paul Simon when he did, what was that tour? Graceland.
Oh,
I remember
yes.
going with them to that. That was amazing. And we were in San Remo in Italy.
Oh.
And what Simon Le Bon, he used to call me Jelly. He rescued me from the crowd there. But yeah, so they were there at the same time, and we did the San Remo festival, and it was crazy. And I just remember I was talking to Susanna about this. There was like, we were driving in this crazy limo, and this guy was drunk, and she remembers the name of the driver, but we're driving in this crazy, he was drunk and listening to the Rolling Stones. I thought we were going to die. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And then we were in France, and Prince was there at the same time. And I think Mickey had a code word for him, and it was Clint.
Oh.
and we were in a limo, and he was in a limo, and it looked like we were following him, but I think he was following us. But I just remember going to the Picasso Museum, and he like jumped out of the limo with his big giant like platform shoes. And that was it for like 5 minutes.
Wow.
So I had some really fun times with them. I had some really fun times. And then we did a whole tour of the United States. And it was pretty intense. I mean, it was pretty intense. I think that was like sort of the height of when they were under a lot of pressure. Yeah.
So, I find this is, first of all, a really interesting connection with the Bangles, but I wanted to ask, what are the challenges of styling for a band that's, starting to gather much more attention? Like, I can imagine San Remo, I can imagine being in France and kind of all, and then coming back to the US and just, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting because before I went out on tour with the Bangles, I lived and worked for Linda Ronstadt, and she was 11 years older. So with her, it was, first of all, I was only really doing her.
Okay.
Well, I also did this combo because she was doing Nelson Riddle, and then just before that, Get Closer tour and some other television things. But it was so much easier just to, and if she liked it, whatever I put on her, that was the end of the story. If she liked it, And then because she was older, she always treated me to everything because she was in her 30s and I was in my early 20s. I was my kid's age, you know? And so it was a different experience, but yet it was a little bit more sedate. And with the Bangles, it was a little bit more fun because in a lot of ways, because I was their age. However, there was a little, you know, they had a lot of pressure on them, and having to please like each one was a huge challenge for me. And I just kind of tried to keep it in, you know, for the most part, but they were all, you know, I just felt pulled in different directions. But I loved working for them, don't get me wrong, but each band has its own set of dynamics.
Right.
You know? So like we worked with the Psychedelic Furs, you know, and that was like a lot of fun. I think each band had, you know, I was much more involved with the Bangles. So and so it made it a bit different. Yeah.
I was curious, you were talking about the pressure with pleasing each one of them. So can you talk a little bit about, did each member of the Bangles have a unique style that you had to
Yes.
work with? Can you talk
Yeah.
about each one of those?
Well, Vicky really wanted to be, she was really into, they were all into 60s kind of feel, but Vicky was really like, I felt, went to the beat of her own drummer, so to speak. You know, we did one outfit for her. I remember making her these big, huge bell bottoms, you know, and I think she was really into just maybe not what looked like the most slick, but what made her feel like she was putting out the vibe that she wanted to put out.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all had a sort of different idea, and yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but they all each, you know, Mickey was really easy because she had a lot of clothes already. And then I would come over and she would say, "Does this look okay? Does this look okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that looks great." So she wore a lot of like really short skirts, and she wore, I don't know, some long jackets. Everyone had their own little bit of style. I think Debbie was somebody that I kind of helped more than others. You know, the video that when I did their clothes for Hazy Shade of Winter, that I felt like that was like a really great look where I felt like they were all really pulled together. You know, I think that was like one of the things I was happiest with. You know, we also worked on different light. You really can't see much clothing, but we all I worked on that with Tony.
So for the cover shoot?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, yeah, it had its own set of fun and its own set of challenges, you know. I knew Sue also, uh, you know, she was just on a podcast with us with Linda Ronstadt, and Linda was her idol, and that's how she learned to sing, was from listening to Linda. And then also, she was friends with Linda's niece, Erin Gilmore, who was married to Michael Gilmore at one point, and her and Sue worked together at her uncle's, some kind of, I think it was a jewelry factory or something, Carmi Simon. And he had worked with a lot of friends of Linda, like Carla Bonoff and that kind of thing. So Sue played Linda the first EP, and she talks about that on our podcast. And I was also reminding her, do you remember when you had I've got a crush on you remember when you had answering machines?
Oh, how
I was
funny.
like, God, I forgot about that. And she was saying she had James Taylor, Oh Susanna on it when she was breaking up with somebody, or
That's
yeah,
right,
it was
yeah.
just really funny. So
That episode was really fun to watch, Jenny. I remember or listening to it and thinking that it was so cool to hear Susanna Hoffs fangirl over Linda Ronstadt, right? Because
yeah,
we're fans of the Bangles,
yeah.
and I felt like that the one time that I met Sue, like a total fanboy, and I had her sign some stuff. But it was interesting to hear her on your episode fangirling over Linda Ronstadt. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that episode that you had, and you having worked with both of them. It was neat because you had that relationship with both of them. But
Sort of like
hearing,
an intimate, like girl chat
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
fly on the wall kind of moments. And, I had just had a reunion with Linda like before COVID hit, and we like talked for like 4 hours. It was incredible. It was, I guess, not this past summer, but the summer before. And I'm just hoping that eventually I could go visit her. And Sue came with me to see Linda's documentary. So that was really incredible. And they sat us in the back row, which I was like, what? But it was perfect because Sue sang harmony the entire time during
oh,
the whole movie.
I
wow,
love that.
So it was so much fun. And, I used to be a songwriter. I not used to be, I still am, but the Bangles were almost going to do a song of mine.
really?
Yeah.
What was the title? Tell us.
What's a girl to do?
See, can you already hear it, Jeff? Can you
Yeah.
already hear it being
I
sung?
have, and I even have like a demo of them, but I used to have one with Sue doing a scratch vocal, and I don't have that anymore. I just have the instrumental.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Fabulous.
So you actually
Yeah.
presented it to the band? I'm cracking up
It
because
was on hold. Yeah.
wow.
But back then it was such a crazy time, and I lived with Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's. The Go-Go's asked me to be in the band before Kathy Valentine, which I think I'm glad they chose Kathy. Much better choice. But I didn't know how to play bass. I've been playing guitar since I was 8. But what was I gonna say? With the there was so much pressure, and I think they learned that the publishing was what made you the money, and so that was always a thing. Yeah, it was frustrating for me at the time.
Yeah. So when you wrote "What's a Girl to Do"? I'm laughing because I wrote a song called "What's a Boy to Do." So I'm just.
And then Red Cross did something similar. Not to put down Red Cross anyway, but I
Yeah,
was wondering if they heard my track.
that's
I think they
hilarious.
must have, but
So
that's
did you write this?
okay.
Did you write "What's a Girl to Do" specifically for the Bangles, or it was just one of your songs? And
No, I was actually wrote it with Dwayne Jarvis when I met him, and we were sort of falling in love, and it's a bit of a scary do you know who Dwayne is?
no, the name sounds familiar.
He died, but he was a guitar player with Lucinda Williams and
Oh, okay, that's
the
why it sounds familiar.
Divinal. He went on tour with the Divinals when we were together. Anyway, he was married, we were falling in love, and we wrote that song together.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So did they actually work up a version of it? So
Yeah. I don't have the scratch vocal with Sue, but I have the instrumental of it.
wow.
Yeah.
So what
I found
era
it recently.
would have that been, like something that would have come out on All Over the Place or Different Light? Do you know?
No, not Different Light. It was after Different
Oh, it was
Light.
after that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So everything era probably.
Mhm.
I think the next record.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Wow. And if you owned the publishing on that, can you imagine like what what would have happened if they
I
released it
know.
and if it became a hit, right?
I
If it was the
know.
next Walk Like an Egyptian.
Yeah, I know.
So personality wise, you spent so much time with them on the road. That could be difficult spending that much time with anybody.
Yeah,
How did that work out? Did you get along with each of them or?
I did. I think I was, I really liked all of them, but I think uh, I remember Vicky saying to me that was the time when they had the most pressure, you
uh,
know. So yeah, you just being on the road is really tough, and women on the road, it's very different. It's not like you have groupies or you're throwing televisions out the window, or it's just very different,
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was fun. Actually, Dwayne came on tour with us and we were like Egyptians behind a screen every time they did that song on stage. That was really fun. We put on these wigs.
So you were actually like a silhouette, like
Yeah.
for on Walk Like an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Ah, you're one of the dancers.
Yeah.
How fun! How fun!
Then I was in the sound check band. We used to play like the Lemon song.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun.
So would you be playing Vicky's guitar or?
I don't know, but I
Yeah.
think I got in trouble a couple times.
Oh.
Whatever I was doing, I was always getting in trouble.
Jenny getting in trouble?
Yeah, always.
Soraya, did you have any more questions about hanging with the Bangles before?
No, I think one of the things as I'm listening to you talk, Jenny, is I keep thinking back, and I think I know exactly what cutout dress you're talking about. And as their sound evolved, I remember their style evolving too.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just interesting to hear that process.
Yeah, it was
How
a
do you do that?
process. And I think it's a part of it is having bigger budgets, I mean, um, there was one video that Sue's mom produced or directed the video. Do you know the song, If She Knew What She Wants?
What's it?
Right.
Okay.
I think
And I worked on that. And I thought that was a lot of fun. I think as budgets and success started happening, then the style got more amped up, and they had, the hair and the makeup artists and everything else. But like I said, my favorite thing was Hazy Shade of Winter.
That's one of
Yeah.
Soraya's favorites.
Yeah, it's a great song, but the video is also really good. And
So Sue is wearing an Azadine Alaya dress. She said she still has it. And I love it. It's just this, I had to really talk her into it, I remember, because it was pretty pricey. And I think they were like buying their own clothes. Some stuff we borrowed. The thing that Vicky wore, we borrowed. It was chainmail. She loved it. She kind of looked like, what do you want to say? Like Barbarella or something,
I can
and
see
then
that.
we did the first like over the knee stockings. Then people
Mhm.
copied us. I think Tony designed those. And I had Vicky, not Vicky, I had Debbie in just a jean jacket, which I really loved. And I thought that looked great on her. And don't remember what Mickey wore. Not remembering what Mickey wore, but like I said, a lot of times she just had me approve stuff that she had. I don't remember if I bought anything special for her for that. But definitely Vicky's outfit, Sue and Debbie. And I thought they looked the most cohesive. I loved it, you know? Yeah.
I mean, there's that definite, their spirit, their, the essence of who they are is definitely shown in the choices.
Yeah. So I had to really walk that line of bringing out each one of them, but making it cohesive. That's the challenge.
Yeah, I could
That's
see
the
how
challenge.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want four totally separate individuals in that
Yeah.
situation, right? When you're trying to bring it together as a band, right? And show
Yeah. And then, of course, I was, wardrobe stylist today, it's a whole other subject, right? Like what people do today.
Yeah.
It's such a different thing. And it's funny, I just saw like a photo shoot that my friend Brad Alterman did with Miley Cyrus. And I was like, I did that for Linda Ronstadt. Like, get close. Like she's wearing like a vintage crinoline, I thought, hearkening back to the early 80s.
That's
It all
hilarious.
comes around, Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's cyclical, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in fashion in the first place? How did Straight Jacket start up? With you and Tony, right?
Yeah. So first, well, Backstage Pass started, and we could talk about that.
Okay.
And then after Backstage Pass, well, I had met Tony, and Tony lived up the street from the Whiskey, a go-go. And God, I was so just so enamored with her, just the way she looked. She was so beautiful and so rock and roll and so cool looking. And she did these incredible, like she would do drawings of different people and bands. And then what she would do to get work was go to their sound check. And I was so enamored, and I was like, I want to do that. And then I had this opportunity to work at Straight Jacket. These other people owned it, and then we bought it. So it was Jake Riviera was my silent partner, and then they lived in England. So I would go to England and visit Tony a lot. But then when Jake and Tony divorced, Tony came to live in LA, and she worked with me at Straight Jacket. So yeah, I have some incredible drawings that she did of Susanna, of all the girls. And then we had an autograph book. So like the Cramps would come in, the Plimsolls,
X, right? Exene,
X, the Psychedelic Furs, but what was it? The Australian band,
Hoodoo Gurus.
Well, they came on tour with the Bangles because Mickey was going out with one of them.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was Split Ends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So was the shop off of Melrose? Where was it located?
No, we were before Melrose. It was on 3rd Street. Our store started before Melrose.
Okay.
I think we originally may have started in end of 78.
Okay. And then when did it close?
At the end of 82.
Okay.
And then I was freaking out, having like, what are these like 20-something, young 20, what was I, 23, like panic attacks. Like I didn't even know what they were, And then I met Linda at a Tom Petty show in 1983 because Nick Lowe was opening and I had tickets. And we were friends with Danny Farrington, who made guitars. Actually saw one of his guitars on Susanna Hoff's. I was like, so funny. But he did all the pearl inlay for Elvis Costello, and Nick
Oh.
Lowe made guitars for Squeeze, and yeah.
That's so curious.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, and I was, I guess I was very involved with Elvis Costello, Nick Lowe, Squeeze, all of that. So anyway, Danny introduced me to Linda, but I remember seeing Linda at Hollywood High at the Elvis Costello show.
Mhm.
Yeah, because she was doing some of his songs, Party Girl,
Right.
that kind of thing. Actually, I did a big mitzvah between Elvis and Linda, but they both don't totally know it. I don't know. No, actually, I saw Elvis not this summer, but the summer before.
Mhm.
And I had seen Linda, and Linda had said, I said, I stuck up for you. It was a long time ago. And Elvis was like, Linda Ronstadt covered my songs, and I was like, why don't you give her the money back? And he was like, and everyone was staring, like T-Bone Burnett, and everybody, was like, how could you talk to Elvis that way? I'm like, I've known him since I was 18. Of course I could talk to him that way. We opened for him at the Whiskey. I've known him since I was 18. So anyway, I said to Linda, I stuck up for you. And she said, he apologized, Jenny. And I was like, I guess he apologized on stage once to Linda. And then I saw him,
Mhm.
and I said, Linda knows that you apologize. He was like, what? And then he wrote this big article about how he said, I was just a punk. I go, I know, we all were, I know, and he wrote this big article. And then Peter Asher said, I don't know why he thought he had to apologize again, but it was because of me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Elvis is one of Soraya's favorites.
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yes. So this story just warms my heart. And I had heard,
Well, when we opened for him at the Whiskey, that was November 1977. It was a whole weekend. And so we would open, and then I came off stage. He was like, you play a really good guitar. And I was like, and he was like, do you want to he goes, I hate trees. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And then he was like, do you want to go kill someone? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not?
I just
Whatever
love
you
this
say.
18-year-old going, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Whatever you say. So, but I was a huge fan of their music and very involved with them. And then also Jake managed Nick Lowe, and Tony, she made the Riddler suit for Nick Lowe. And we were very involved with, of course, Carlene Carter. She was on our show.
Yes.
Tony made her a Riddler skirt and then she stole Nick's jacket and wore the jacket. And I got to style Carlene for Cruel to Be Kind. It was their real wedding, and I did her wedding dress. And that was amazing. And then I was very involved with Squeeze. Glenn was one of my loves. Yeah, Glenn Tilburg. I think I still love him.
I love hearing this. I'm like, tell me
I
more.
saw him also the summer when X opened up for Squeeze. I saw them, and it was amazing. And I had this incredible Squeeze t-shirt, and they signed it. Yeah. And then Tony made me this really cool Dave Vanian on the cover of Slash, because I was in that Slash magazine as well. And the issue 1, and Dave signed that. So I saw all these bands before the dreaded COVID took it all away. The last show I went to was Wild Honey. It was the John Sebastian show.
I was there. Yeah. The Living
were there
Simple. It was a fantastic show.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we talk about Backstage Pass, the
Please.
band?
Yeah,
The band. So it was an all-girl punk band, right?
pretty much. I I have been playing guitar since I was 8, and I got turned on to rock and roll from different babysitters. I first remember dancing to Chubby Checker, and my parents kept saying, "Do it again, do it again," like the twist, really young. And then I had a babysitter named Jill who had a beehive hairdo, and she turned me on to Elvis Presley. And I have this scrapbook. I still have it, and it's red. And she wrote in gold glitter Elvis. And then I used to write on my sheets. I was 5. Elvis is the king of oak and roll. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, you're writing on your sheets." And then she's like cutting them out for me so I could put them in my scrapbook. And then I would take singles and cut them up and put them in my scrapbook. And then the last thing that I had was an article that Hedda Hopper wrote called Elvis is turning 30, like Peter Pan turns 30. That was my last entry. And then I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. My parents woke us up so we could watch the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. And so then I wrote a letter to Elvis and said, "I think you should like shave off your side." I was already like a stylist. "You should shave off your like 5 or 6, shave off your sideburns and like cut your hair different." And I was already a stylist back then. And I remember I used to wear these petticoats like I was a little girl, like 5, because I thought they looked like really incredible. And so I was already on it back then. So I started playing guitar like at 8. Then I had this baby. Oh, we met Elvis also. I met Elvis. Yeah, because our babysitter we moved, and then our babysitter wrote us and said, "Oh, Elvis is living in Bel Air." And she like sent my dad like a map, and he took us there. We knocked on the door, and then someone said, "Oh, Elvis is in the bathroom." And then he came out and he went, "Howdy, folks." And so, and then I had this like Polaroid of him, but I don't know where it is. And he was autographing. Yeah. So then when we moved, I had this babysitter named Cookie, and she was in like a folk band, and she used to play it like, she used to go to like Pandora's Box on the Strip, and she told me about the Byrds and about the Beach Boys and everything. And she drew and she rode horses and she played guitar. So I learned I worshiped her, and I learned how to play guitar. And then funny story, then we had a friend of the family who was an incredible musician, and I just had a reunion with him also, named David Elson. He was this incredible bluegrass player. He was supposed to be in Linda Ronstadt's band,
Wow.
but he turned it down because he wanted to finish his degree at USC as a mathematician. And he's incredible player. Linda wants to meet him, actually.
That's fun.
So then in high school, I started playing electric guitar, and I went to Grant High School, and most of the people I went to school with, it was a lot of very patriarchal kind of bands, guys in bands, Toto, that kind of thing. They were like, "Yeah, it's cool if you play like Cat Stevens on acoustic or whatever." And I was like, "No." And but it was tough, and it's actually a really similar story to like Joan Jett. It was like I just didn't get the support. But my mother was sick since I was probably 15 and a half. She had breast cancer, and my cousin took me to my very first concert, which was the Kinks in 1973. And it was at the Palladium, and I fainted. But before I fainted, I met all these people from Fairfax High, and they're still my friends today. And they were some of my first boyfriends. And it was Marvin Etzioni and my friend Larry Jacobson and my friend Ann, and just all these people. And they're still my friends. And that's where I got the most support. When my mom died, I started running away to Hollywood. Sometimes I would like sneak in stay home from school, and then my mom would find me and she'd go, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I just wanted to be with you." She's like, "Oh, go get your guitar and play for me," you know?
Aw.
So, and I started running away to Hollywood, and then my mom died. I was 17, and yeah, in high school, there was a couple cool people. Like I met Kevin Dubrow, but he was the first guy I ever kissed. And Randy Rhoads bought a pair of shoes from me because he was so tiny. He bought a platform, sort of like the ones Prince was wearing. I swear to God, these beige platform shoes that were kind of very unisex looking. And but yeah, I would see Kevin at the Rainbow and stuff like that. But I would run away with my friend Robin. And I remember Mario, who ran the whiskey, he would call me Robin because we both kind of looked alike. I don't know. And I would just go to a lot of shows. And also, me and Marvin, I auditioned for the Runaways. And then Kim Fowley told me that I was like too fat or something.
Oh, no.
Plus, I wasn't really a lead guitarist. And I think I also auditioned for Venus and the Razor Blades. It was anyway, and I met my band. I went on a fluke to the Starwood, and Dr. Feelgood was playing, and I was like, "Oh my God, this band is so incredible." I was like, I either want to like play like Wilco Johnson or marry him, one or the other. I don't care which. And that's when I met also my band, but I also met Jake Riviera, who was Andrew Jakeman at the time, and he was their road manager. And I remember it was close to the bicentennial. He was wearing like a bicentennial tie and like grinning at me. And I was like, I like the guitar player. Like, I don't know why you're grinning at me, you know? And but just meeting them, it was like they had that 60s look and just the attitude. It was like pre-punk. I was just like blown away, you know, blown away. And then Marina, who was the one who came up with the idea for Backstage Pass, she had seen like the Cherry Bomb version of the Runaways, and she was like, God, it was like so Svengali, and she just wanted to do something different. And she was taking piano lessons from Randy Rhoads' mom. She was a piano teacher in the Valley.
Wow.
So weird. And she turned to Rodney Bingenheimer at the Rainbow and said, I'm starting a band and it's called Backstage Pass. Like, she just made it up at the spot. And then Joanna Dean, who's Spock, who managed Red Cross and lived with Vicky and Mickey, she said, yeah, if I could learn bass, I'll join. So she did, and she joined. And then we used to write a lot of songs together, me and Spock did. And we're still all in touch. And then Backstage Pass, we started getting pressed like right away. We were vicious. We were like really like on it, you know. And for one thing, Marina was like a journalist, so she had to play double duty, like with her, like they didn't really like that she was in this band called Backstage Pass. She worked for Teen Magazine. So she had to play double duty. And then we all had punk names. So she was Marina Del Rey. I became Jenny Body. I think I had met Exene from Tony. They had some kind of Florida connection. And then also, I don't know if you know who Faye Hart was, and we called her Farrah Bucket Minor.
Oh,
But I think she gave me the name Jenny Buddy, and then she named Jenny Lenz, who was Jenny Stern. And so Farrah was Faye was best friends with Exene. I used to go dancing with them at the Rainbow, like before X, just to be weird, just for something to do on an off night.
sounds like fun.
And I think Exene had met John Doe already. They were in that writing workshop together, but they hadn't started X yet.
Wow.
And then Jake was starting Stiff Records, and he made us answer our phone. We had this place called Courtney Crash Pad. It was like up the street from Island Records, and we would like have to answer like Stiff Records. And he managed Nick Lowe, Elvis, well, Stiff Records, and The Damned.
Oh,
And The Damned was on a television tour, and they got kicked off for upstaging television. And so quickly Jake got them the Starwood gig, and Brian James stayed, like I hooked up with him and he stayed with me, and Jake stayed with us. And Rat stayed with Spock at McCadden Place. And Holly Vincent was in our band, and Holly lived on McCadden Place. And then the rest of them stayed at the Wilton Hilton with the Screamers. And then we were all in the first issue of Slash magazine. So, and then the Damned made us do a show. They were like, get out of the rehearsal space and do a show. And we're like, okay, you know. And so I think our first show was maybe at the Columbia Lot or something. I forget. Spock knows. And then we did a couple shows. We did a show with Quiet Riot at a hotel called something like the Roman Inn.
okay.
And
Was Randy in the band at that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And yeah, and we then we opened for Elvis Costello at the Whiskey because, you know, it was Jake's choice, and he didn't, you know, you didn't want bands to upstage other bands, so he said that, yeah, you can open. It was really punk rock.
Nice.
Love it.
Did
The
you
other
guys?
thing that really blew my mind when I met Jake was I saw him like kicking in the car with his like winkle picker boots, like of a rent-a-car. And then he got banned from that like rental car place like forever till this day.
Wow.
And I was like, I've never seen anyone do that before, you know? So we played, we helped start the Mask. Brendan Mullen, who first inhabited, you know, that space, was Scottish. So Marina had a bank account, and she had to sign the lease, co-sign the lease for the Mask. And then we helped build like the first rehearsal spaces at the Mask with the skulls and the controllers. And then the first show, I think they broke into our rehearsal space and took our PA, and that was like the first show at the Mask. So we played a lot. We opened for like Devo, I think at the Starwood. I think we also went with them to San Francisco, and also the Mumps.
Oh,
We played at the Mabuhay Gardens. We played with the Nuns. I really loved Jennifer Moreau.
Did you
She
guys
was
actually
amazing.
do any recording?
We did a demo,
Okay.
and we were on a compilation, Saturday Night Pogo,
Yes.
with the Weirdos and the Dills, who I loved. And sorry, this earbud doesn't want to stay in. And we played at the Whiskey, the Starwood. Yeah, lots of places.
Wow.
And then I had Straight Jacket, and then for a brief period of time, I was in the Screaming Sirens with Pleasant,
Mhm.
Gaiman, Burr Dixon, Diane LaFoon, or Boom Boom Dixon. Yeah, and we opened up for Nick Lowe at the Palace.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And then now, coming full circle, you and Marina are hosts on this podcast now, right?
Yeah, Marina's not on season 2 because she's went into this whole other career. But since we reformed in 2018 and played Radio Free Hollywood show at the Bootleg. That was amazing. And I remember my kids saying to me, like, Mom, you never have to do this again, because I was so nervous. And then I was like, okay, afterwards I was like, what are we doing this again? You know? And so
was Gwen Kahn part of the band at that point?
She is part of the band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we haven't done anything. And Gwen was on one of our podcasts. We started off our season with Susie Quattro and ended with Susanna Hoffs and Linda Ronstadt. And then we've had a lot of different people in between. It's all really female-driven music. We had Alice Bagg, who is incredible, and
So great.
Kim McAuliffe from Girls School. And Girls School was a heavy metal band, all-girl heavy metal band. And during the start of the punk era, which was really interesting. And we also realized that some of us dated some of the same people.
Oh.
And then we had June Millington from Fanny.
Amazing episode. I love
Thank you. And Wes Beach, who's
Cosmetics.
going to be on season 2. We have a surprise with that. And we had Kathy Valentine. We had the Allison Wolf from Bratmobile. And I love Bratmobile. And Carly Carter, who, of course, Tony styled and I styled. Tony did musical shapes with Barney Bubbles and styled a lot of her clothes. And Tony did a lot of graphics with Barney Bubbles in England, which is really interesting. Some Nick Lowe covers, single covers, different things. And then she did incredible Straight Jacket ads for Straight Jacket, that there could be just a whole book on her Straight Jacket ads, And so.
How did the podcast get started?
It got started with Elizabeth Galdames from Here She Roars blog.
Okay.
And I think she put a little post on, there's this, the original punk women or something like that. I forget what the name of the Facebook page is.
Okay.
It's actually a great Facebook page. And I answered it, and she had some people lined up, and nobody showed up to our first meeting. And then I just plugged like Gwen and Jesse, who's our lead guitarist in the Reformed band, and Marina, and then we did it with all of us, Elizabeth, and these twins from Detroit, one who owns a record label called Sangrio Records, and and then her twin, who people just kind of dropped out, and then there was just this core group, which was Elizabeth, me, Marina, Jesse, and so it's Alejandra Villegas from Detroit, and so that became our core group. And then Marina's not on season 2, so it's the 4 of us.
Can you tell our listeners what we can expect from season 2 from the podcast? Is there anything that you can share without getting in trouble from
one thing that Elizabeth, we're actually filming everything, and I think we're putting everything up at once.
Oh.
Which is so I think it's all going up in March.
Okay.
Pretty much. So we have
Soraya, don't get any ideas. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, is that how we're really doing it? But that's what Elizabeth wants to do. So
great idea.
It's okay. And so we are filming a bunch of episodes in January and February. Okay. And we have, I think Vicki and Debbie are coming on. I think you've had them on, yes?
Debbie.
Oh, Debbie. Okay. So I think we're having them both on. We have a special plasmatics episode. We have, there's a bunch of surprises. Nancy Burrill, who just wrote a punk book, she's coming on with Jack Grisham from TSOL. We had this incredible woman, Vivian Goldman, who's had this lengthy musical career in the music business, and also a musical artist. And she wrote a book called Revenge of the She Punks, from Polystyrene to Pussy Riot.
Nice.
Do you have it?
No, but I'm writing it down.
Okay. And she worked with Bob Marley in the early days.
Wow.
She lived with, I said you lived with Chrissy Hynde, but Chrissy Hynde, I think, crashed a lot with her. And I said, I have a funny Chrissy Hynde story, because Chrissy showed up at when I was visiting Tony and Jake in England. They lived in Shepherd's Bush, and she knocked on the door while we were listening. Me and Tony were listening to the Pretenders record, the first one.
How funny.
We're so embarrassed.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Or not, right?
Happens.
Vivian reckons that Chrissy would have loved it. Oh. So, Nick had produced some of the early stuff that the Pretenders did.
That's right.
And then on the Brass in Pocket video, they borrowed Jake's, I think it was a 59 Cadillac or something.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
good.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a lot of, and people used to go visit each other,
I remember those days.
I experienced that a lot I experienced that a lot in New York, Yeah, also. I don't know if it's the colder climates, I'm not sure.
Yeah, times have changed, right?
Yeah, times have changed a lot. What are some of your episodes coming up?
We kind of do things on the fly, where we just plan and do it as we go. So
I want it to be your 111 episode. Can you swamp me out?
It's too late now because we passed that one. So, but we're approaching up on an hour, Jenny. And then before we let you go, I did want to talk about that your legacy doesn't end with you because now you have an offspring that,
Eden, yes.
yes. So can you tell us about the music that Eden produces?
Well, no, Eden's a guitar player and a songwriter. Eden has been playing for also a long time, is now 23, and was in a really great band called the Lovins, and then has been in a couple other bands, the 10th Band and a band called the Good Billionaires, I believe. And right now it's difficult. I feel
Yeah.
so bad, because it's like there's no really playing or rehearsing. Also, Eden is part of a space called Junior High LA, which is had to close during COVID, but is going to reopen. And that's an art space, a retail space, and then bands do play there.
Mhm.
So they're looking for eventually opening up when it's safe to do so.
The Lovins
And
have some great videos on YouTube.
yes,
And I want to know who their stylist is because whoever is their stylist.
themselves. Yeah.
So I think you passed along that stylist gene because there's yeah.
Well, I love buying clothes for Eden, but Eden's pretty self-sufficient. And Ariella Barrere is they're both just stunning looking people. And they were a three-piece. They used to rehearse in my garage, and I still love their songs and love that band. And then I used to, I've been to their shows. I've seen the 10th Band, and they had a great style also. Eden's guitar playing in the 10th is just off the chain, Eden has this giant pedal board. Eden's a really great guitar player.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You seem like a proud
Yeah.
mama bear.
Yeah. Eden's a very independent person, and but great musician and singer-songwriter. So hope that things open up, things get better, and we'll hear a lot more from Eden.
Yeah, let's hope so. And let's hope.
And who knows about Backstage Pass.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll be hearing more from you all too.
Yeah, we had shows that we had to cancel, but yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. I just miss going to shows, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
What was your last show that you went to?
I think Dream Syndicate for me.
Yeah, they were good friends of mine.
Soraya, do you remember the
Spock was very involved with them. How about you, Soraya?
I'm guessing the last one was the Wild Honey fundraiser.
Yeah.
Because I saw Dream Syndicate, and yeah, I think Wild Honey was the very last one. Had
3 o'clock, and also, I'm sure you both know Gary Stewart, who passed away, and the Quick were very good friends of mine growing up, and seeing them play was just, I think Gary would have been so happy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also went to an event that they did. I think they had a cassette or a CD out or something.
Oh yeah, Soraya.
The Quick.
We were there.
Yeah.
Was it Beyond
Yeah.
Beyond Baroque.
We were there.
We were
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That was a
I
lot
was
of
like,
fun.
Danny, oh my God, Ian, like, it was like, what? So amazing.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
So amazing. Yeah. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
it was so great to talk to you. Let me know when the episode's going to air.
Yes,
Jenny,
definitely.
thank you so much for joining us. And I got to say, whenever you want to, please come back and tell us more stories because you have a memory I just can't grasp right now. You have this amazing memory, and it seems like all these really series of kismet meetings
A lot of,
in your life. It's just amazing.
yeah. And you know what Marina said to me, she goes, I don't remember like you doing this or that. I said, I was too young to drink when you met me. I didn't do any of that stuff. Maybe that's why I had that memory, because I don't know. I wasn't drinking yet. I had to get my hand stamped,
That's funny.
Well, I don't know. We're here for all the artist in you and all the creative output. So
Thank you.
It's been a real joy, and it's been
Thank
fun
you.
listening to this living history of
Thank you
music.
so much. And please, to all your listeners, go on Metal Priestesses Podcast, subscribe, and listen and have fun. And there's some, I think, really fun episodes on there. So I hope your listeners will hop on.
Yes.
And you can binge an entire season.
Yeah.
Yes, season 2. What?
We're gonna share on our page a link to Metal Priestesses.
Thank you.
And
then Jeff, you teach me how to do it, and I'll do it for you.
All right, we'll
fabulous.
keep talking. We'll keep talking.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Soraya, if I can only remember what I did yesterday, let alone what I did in the year of bicentennial.
If I can remember what I did about 2 months ago.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. And I love just her stream of consciousness, just like, and then this person and this person. And I saw these people, and I'm like, and I can only imagine, the hundreds, thousands of people that she's encountered, worked with, you name it, throughout her life. I mean, Jeff, I've been teaching for over 24 years. And the next semester, I have a hard time remembering people's names. Like in the moment I'm there, but about 10 years later, I'm like, who was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
I just loved hearing her stories. And I think it's really interesting seeing someone who's worked through so many different creative arenas, styling, playing, being just a music fan, and then now podcasting, and and going back to the drawing board with the band, and and then just I just want you to think about that. I found it makes sense in the way that she was describing Backstage Pass. Someone turns to Rodney Bingenheimer and says, "Hey, I got a band on the fly, okay? No members, no nothing, but yeah, I got a band, Backstage Pass." Not only that, they start getting gigs. Not only that, the dam says, "Hey, you guys got to play a show. You got to stop all this rehearsing business." And then they do it at the Columbia lot. I'm like, okay, man, if you're going to ball out, you're going to ball out.
And opening for Elvis Costello.
And demos only. So there was a solid product there. That's the part that really impresses me. There was a solid product. People heard it, boom. Okay, open for Elvis Costello, Nicola, what?
Yeah.
And she styled for one of the most badass ladies in music. Not just the Bangles, Linda Ronstadt. Don't come at me, people, about Linda Ronstadt. We can have a discussion. But she is one of the badass ladies of music.
Agreed.
And I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. Jenny has just, taken my words away today. Pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
I knew she would have plenty of stories to share with us. So, and I definitely recommend their podcast, Metal Priestesses Podcast. They have a different team um, of co-hosts on there, but a core, as she mentioned, and they're always really good. I really liked the episode. Really enjoyed all of them, but the episode with Fanny was really good. So
Yeah. And if people aren't familiar with Fanny's work, please go. Because
amazing
they
musician.
were an important band um, at the time that they came on the scene. They were an important band and the music's really good.
Yeah,
Okay, but how can you not love a podcast that starts with Susie Quattro and ends with Susanna Hoffs and Linda Ronstadt?
yeah, yeah,
Sorry, that's pretty badass if you ask
yeah.
me.
Even the people that I'm not familiar with, it's fun to hear them. And they do, for having as many co-hosts as they do, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, somehow they wrangle it in. I have a hard time not over talking you or over talking myself. Somehow with a group of 5 co-hosts, 4 or 5 co-hosts, they do a very good job of keeping order.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And
So
I love knowing that, one of her her children
yeah.
is also a musician.
Yeah.
I really like seeing that sort of creative artistic continuity.
Yeah,
Pretty
Eden's work is pretty
cool
cool.
to see.
So yeah, the Love-Ins have some really fun videos, very vibrant videos, very catchy songs. But yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. So
Well, um, like I mentioned, we'll add a link on our pages, the social media pages, so you can go check out the podcast for yourself. And the fact that they're giving us season 2 all in one binge worthy, nugget, I think is pretty cool.
yeah, we're not doing it.
No, I don't think we can do. I don't think we can replicate that, but
No, no, no.
but I find that pretty cool that they are.
Yeah, very much so. So.
I learned a lot. I
Me
learned
too.
a lot. Did you?
Me too. Yes, I'm. It's gonna take me a while to process some of this. So I think that an author, needs to sit down with Jenny, wrangle all this in, organize it, and this needs to be at least a book, if not a 2-3 volume set. But wrangle in some of
I'm
these
telling you,
stories.
but see, like I think back to, okay, so Lena Litanwa. Lena has so many stories too. And there's many books, multi-volume books. Jenny, I mean, we've talked to a lot of people who really really were in the LA music scene and have so much, so many stories to share. Yeah, somebody needs to just sit them down, put a recorder there, boom, and then just start transcribing. Done.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh my
Well,
God, this
speaking
is
of
really cool.
books, our next episode might be the author of this book. Um, we'll see. We've got a show lined up, or a call lined up with Mr. Clive Jones from the UK. This book
And the book
comes
is
out somewhere.
Tell Me When It's Over, Notes from the Paisley Underground.
Yeah, so I've got some thoughts about this book, both good and bad, and we'll
I
discuss
think we
that.
both have thoughts about this book too.
Yeah,
But what's really cool is just to have a dialogue about it. And something you and I have witnessed ourselves is how people define the Paisley Underground changes when you move geographically.
yep, and that'll
So
be something that we may be talking to, if not next week, the following week after, here shortly.
yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So gente, a grubiar.
Groove on, Paisley people.